Here we go with the second video. In this time we are going to work with the horns, and for it I'm going to start with a base of Rhinox height. Then for medium tones and mixing with the Rhinox, I'm going with the Racar flesh. And for the lighter color I'm going to go with the ice yellow towards final lights and everything. Okay, let's prepare the palette. And well, as always, we start with a solid base of the Rhinox height. It's very important to paint every corner and let everything prepared to not have to fix something before. Okay, one time the base is done, I'm going to mix the Racar flesh with the Rhinox to get a medium tone, a little bit more clear than the Rhinox height, and start marking the way to go then with the Racar flesh only. A good thing of the Racar flesh is that it's like a white family paint, but a little bit of pigment of purple, and that is really nice because it gives you a lot of different tones to work also in horns or in bones, skulls or whatever. Okay, as you can see now I'm painting on one of my ways. It's I didn't wait to the paint to get dry, so I run the brush mixing the Racars on the same place as the horn is, and well, this helps a lot to make clean transitions. You have to work faster without fear, okay? And when you see that the paint is getting too much darker because it's mixing too much Rhinox in this case, I just get a little bit more of the mix I have done before and go again to paint. When you see that the first transition from the darkest areas to the medium clear area is done, and then you are working it well. For horns you have seen several different kinds, like maybe on mammoth or other beasts, where the darkest area is on the point and not where the horn burns. Well, it depends. At the end, both of the ways are correctly. I like to paint, in this case I'm going to paint it like that, but for example for bulls or for minotaurs, if you start painting the horn with a clear color and you finish it with a darker one, it looks really good. You will find a lot of examples on nature about this. Now, as you can see, I'm going with a little bit more of Racars, and this time I'm trying to paint some lines to start making the texture and the effect of the horn. I want to make like these dark lines on the middle, as you can see, being very careful and trying to finish in a very thin point, like is this kind of line is getting thinner every time when it's going to the middle zone. Sometimes the miniature got these effects, sometimes not. You can paint it plain and then at the end give some touches to make the texture. I like to paint it on this way because it's not so complicated, it's faster, and as you can see at the first layers you can go not too much crazy, but you can go faster just marking some lines where are you going to work after this. I'm just adding more lines to the original sculpture. Already these horns have some lines and some texture and marks, and I'm going to add my own to make it more visual. I have put too many same color all around the horn, and like the flesh I want that the light comes from the top, so I'm going to add a little bit of Rhinox to the mix to get a darker color for the shadow area of the miniature, just under the horns. As you can see, the horn have like metallic parts and also some textile and something like this. Well, just be careful with it, and then we will paint it on the future videos. And we keep painting, and now we are going almost for a pure Rackers without any kind of Rhinox. Let's see if I can focus. Okay. And the same. Now every time you have to go a little bit more careful, trying to make the lines smaller than the first ones, to create this effect of volumetry, like the natural horn texture. Now it's important to get the point of your brush very small. You can prepare it on the palette or in your finger. I normally do it in my finger. In this case the brush was pretty new, so I didn't need it. And as you can see, the lines are going small to big, and when we arrive to the middle of the horn or a little bit less, I start making the line greater to paint later with a clear color. Okay. In the top areas, if the lines are bigger, you don't have to care, because we are looking for brightness on the top area of every part of the miniature. At this point also it's important that your paint has to be very thin, because you need that the line draws easy. If the paint is a little bit dry, maybe you make your brush stroke and half of the line it's not well marked, and then you have to go again and go again. Okay, as you can see, I'm just following the first lines I did it. Just in only the difference now, it's trying to make them smaller. Get the important point of water in the painting. It's very important, because you will find that the brush go faster, the paint gets better, and it didn't make balls or texture because it's too dry, and it didn't run away because they have too many water. So it's important to practice and find that point. But maybe for one person is different to another. It depends on how everyone works. Meanwhile, we are painting these new areas of clear horn. You can also add some point if you want, or some other lines that goes horizontal and not vertical, just to make different kinds of damage on the horn, on different marks. Okay, if you want to play safe, it's better when you have to finish a line in a very small one. It's better to start in the big area and go fast to the finish, to the end of the line. So also you can play with the point of the brush to make flop the last stroke. Here you can see I'm painting so many different lines. They are not exactly like the first ones. Well, we are looking, it will keep this texture, and it will keep that looking that we are going for on this miniature. And also you can see now, and you can know that that is a horn and got a lot of marks and this typical texture they have. Up to down to get the last line more small on a safe way. and it just repeat on the other ones. The biggest one is the one that have more game to put more lines and more texture. In the small ones, just good a little bit. Also, you can find that the sculpture already have different kind of texture. It's important also to get market them, and then on the later lights you got the first layers done. We are going for a second layer of rock art. Sometimes the clear colors with just one stroke, it didn't get the intense of what they have. And also if we are painting with very thin paint, so sometimes you only need to give another layer of the same clear color to get another light, and you don't have to go mixing again or whatever. And also the transition will look more natural and will help you to get that effect. At the end, if you just play with the dark lines and the clear lines, let a space to the midtones to create the volume, and just keep that way in all the horn. As you can see now, already you can know what is it and how the form it have. Now I'm going to put a little bit of ice yellow to the rackers. Why I'm using the ice yellow and not a white? You can go for a white if you want, of course it will get a clear color. I like to use very clear colors like light flesh or ice yellow, because it gets you a lighter color, but it didn't take the intensity of the natural color like white does. White can be very helpful to make lights and all of this, but at the end the color is losing every time a little bit of his own natural intense. This is why I like to play with another kind of colors when I'm going to lights and final lights, because they have a little bit of another color. In this case is yellow, and it works perfectly, and you will see that the contrast of the colors in the miniatures get much brighter than if you only use white and black. And now the same, every time going more carefully with the lines, just to keep the first pattern we have made on the horn, and going, as you can see, painting all the top areas and the middle lines. Here I'm going to put some more detail on the lines here on the side. Maybe I put some shadow later to make them more visible. Always tries always to go with the first lines, and every time going more in the middle, more in the middle, more in the middle. I'm going to explain it. I don't know if it's the best way. Well, it will be a little bit helpful to explain the concept of this kind of effects. Okay, you can imagine that these two lines are the horn. Okay. And now what I'm going to paint are the light areas, okay? For example, this one is the first mix of Rakarth and Rhinox height, okay? Well, in this case, imagine that this is the lighter area, okay? It is going from small to big, like here, okay? This is more correct. These are the lines of light that we have done. Okay, then the first option to put more light on these lines and create the texture, okay, is just keep the line, okay, just painting inside the first line. Okay, so you are making this texture already. And the other way is just go on the side of the line. On this way you are showing that the light is reflecting from somewhere. On the first way is like for example, Games Workshop miniatures are painted, like everything gets the same light from everywhere. It's very visual. I love this kind of painting, but it takes more time. And finally, just looking for a point of light, you can get a very good result. In this case, I'm mixing, painting some lines like if they got light, and some other lines like they got the light just in the middle. We really didn't care, because at the end the result it's pretty cool, and this is what we are looking for. In this case, because we are working on a miniature for play, for a tabletop, I'm just not getting too much careful on the lines. If I was painting something or some very important character or another kind of miniature, I was more careful putting every line inside every line and getting the light correctly where the points where the light comes for. But in this case, what we are looking for is for something that gets very visual and it's faster to paint. And here I'm explaining the same like I just explained about the when you have to paint on some way and when not, and explaining that I have friends like for example every single miniature have a level of detail that is insane. In my case, I didn't have too many time to paint my miniatures, so when I got it, it depends if that miniature is something like I really like and is for exposition or for whatever. I put more dedication, more time, and going more carefully. But I like to play to Warhammer 40k, and I like to play with my miniatures painted. So this is why normally I paint on this way, just to get it them painted and have a very good looking in group. Okay, we are working here. We are just adding more ice yellow to the mix, okay, just to get lighter and lighter color, and working with lines and more lines, trying always to follow the same line that we have before on the darkest colors and the rackers only, and you will see that the horns is getting his shape. Okay, if you see that in the mid area you can also add a little bit more of yellow or another line, you can do it because it will work also. And for the moment we are finishing here the horns, and on the next video I think we are going for that big arm with a claw or whatever is it. So see you guys.